Hello and welcome. We're here today visiting Tamara Gallan. Hello.
Hi.
So she's a business coach for creatives, and ahead of Tamara and myself leading the upcoming course, Confidence for Creatives, I really wanted to come along and find out directly from yourself, Tamara, having worked with hundreds of creatives over the years, about what is that underlying happening when it comes to the knock-on confidence with artists and other creative beings, and perhaps having some ideas as to what people can do about it as well. So the very first thing that I want to find out from you is, what in your experience knocks confidence for creatives?
I see it as there being two areas where this shows up: internal stuff and external stuff. The internal stuff is those negative messages, negative self-talk, the loops that we can get into where we're thinking, I'm not good enough, or I'm never going to be as good as them, or those kinds of messages that we repeat to ourselves and continue to knock our own confidence moving forwards. And then there's the external forces of things like when an artist puts themselves forwards for, say, a competition, or for a residency perhaps, or even just going for a gallery representation, and they send their art out there and then they wait for something to come back, and maybe nothing comes back, or just a plain no with no feedback. And I think confidence can become knocked by that, because in a vacuum, once again, you'll return to that sense of thinking, what's wrong with me, I'm not good enough, and those two cycles together can lead to artist confidence becoming quite badly knocked.
Well, and as myself as a mentor to many artists, that I've seen that last year I saw one artist who had been rejected to 12 competitions in a row. In that case then, how do you break that cycle of that internal and that external dialogue?
I think it's a question of, for one, not doing it alone, coming to find some other people, being a part of a community, not keeping your fears to yourself so that you end up in that internal cycle loop, but going and talking to other people. And I think when you've got over complaining, because that's really good, just to get it out of yourself, is to have something more positive to talk about. And for me, that's always having a clear vision and starting to move towards that, starting to take inspired action towards a truthful vision of what it is that you'd like to create in your career. And for me, that's where intuition plays such a huge part, because I feel that against that, those messages that we get from the ego, trying to keep us small, trying to keep us safe, stopping us from trying to do daring things, the intuition is the perfect antidote. It's the thing within us saying, try this, dare that, go for this. But also it can be that thing that says, I don't think this competition is for you, and so you can save yourself another knock to your confidence in the first place. So intuition, a key part of vision making, and then taking inspired action both.
Yeah, brilliant. And ahead of the course starting, what can people do now to just immediately start addressing confidence?
I think for me, it comes from doing the internal work of looking and seeing where you want to get to, where you are now, and starting to really think about taking action. It's all action based, because confidence doesn't grow in a vacuum. As soon as you start taking action, as soon as you start doing things that particularly come from intuition, so they're really guided rather than just things that everybody else is doing, something that feels true and real for you, I think you can start moving forwards. But before any of that, and this is a part of actually what will happen when anyone signs up for the courses, we're going to send out a questionnaire with some very specific questions for people to just look at where they are now and where they want to get to, asking those kind of magic bullet questions like, if you had the confidence, what would you do? If you couldn't fail, what would you dare to try? And we have to ask ourselves those questions. But if we listen intuitively, with our body and our knowing, rather than with our anxiety and those loops in our mind, we can come up with some amazing stuff which is really true for us. And then the inspired action starts. And I think that's the way forwards.
Yeah, absolutely excellent. I mean, in the course, we'll do 3 live sessions that we'll have recordings of those afterwards as well, available to students, and then meditations that I know you're creating for everyone to do in between the sessions as well, and then tools.
They do work wonders, the meditations, I have to say. They're things that I have clients use all the time in confidence needing situations to prepare them for public speaking, going to networking events, all kinds of things where they have to go and see people, or stuff that raises their anxiety a little bit. Those kinds of meditations to just really smooth the way a little bit. So
well, and those plus other tools that everyone will receive as well, then can be used for the weeks, the months, the years to come.
Always want stuff to be applicable and usable in the long term, always.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time, and that was really insightful.
Thank you.